The moment Naomi walked into her mother-in-law's dining room that Sunday evening, she knew something was wrong. The table was set with the good china, the kind that only came out for major announcements. Her husband Trevor sat at one end, and beside him was Sierra, his assistant from work. Sierra's hand rested on her round belly, a satisfied smile on her face. Trevor's entire family was already seated, their eyes darting between Naomi and the couple at the head of the table. "Naomi, glad you could make it," Trevor's mother said, her voice tight and formal. There was no warmth in her words, no hug like she usually gave. Naomi's stomach twisted into knots. "I don't understand. Why is Sierra here?" Naomi asked, looking at her husband of 6 years. "Trevor, what's going on?" Trevor cleared his throat and stood up. He wouldn't meet her eyes. "I asked everyone to come tonight because I have an announcement to make. Sierra is pregnant. The baby is mine. We've been together for over a year now and we're going to be a family." The words hit Naomi like a physical blow. Her legs felt weak. She grabbed the back of a chair to steady herself. "What did you just say?" Sierra spoke up, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "I'm 5 months along. We wanted to tell you in front of the family so everything would be clear. Trevor and I are in love. We're having a boy." Naomi looked around the room. Trevor's parents sat silently. His sister looked away. His brother shifted uncomfortably. They all knew. Every single person in this room knew about this before she did. Her own husband had orchestrated this public humiliation. "You brought me here to tell me this? In front of everyone?" Naomi's voice shook, not from sadness, but from rage that was building inside her chest. "We thought it would be easier this way," Trevor said, finally looking at her. "I want a divorce. I've already moved my things to Sierra's apartment. You can stay in the house until we figure out the details." Sierra placed her hand over Trevor's, the diamond on her ring finger catching the light. An engagement ring. Naomi felt bile rise in her throat. This woman was wearing a ring, carrying his child, sitting in his family's home like she belonged there. And Naomi was the outsider. "How long have you all known?" Naomi asked the room. No one answered. She turned to Trevor's mother. "Barbara, you knew about this?" Barbara pursed her lips. "Trevor told us 3 months ago. He wanted to wait until Sierra was further along before telling you. We thought it was best to respect his wishes." 3 months. They had all been lying to her face for 3 months. Every Sunday dinner, every phone call, every holiday gathering. Naomi felt tears burning behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of these people who had betrayed her. "I gave up my job opportunity in New York to stay here for you," Naomi said to Trevor, her voice steady despite the pain. "I used my connections to help you get your business off the ground. I trusted you." "Things change," Trevor said with a shrug. "Sierra and I just have more in common. She understands me better." Sierra smiled and rubbed her belly. "The baby is kicking so much lately. Trevor talks to him every night. We're thinking of naming him Trevor Jr." That was it. That was the moment Naomi felt something inside her break and then harden into steel. She looked at Trevor, really looked at him, and saw a stranger. A weak, selfish man who had thrown away 6 years of marriage for a younger woman and an ego boost. "I want you to remember this moment," Naomi said quietly, her voice cold. "I want you to remember how proud you looked right now. How happy you both seem. Because I promise you, this won't end the way you think it will." "Are you threatening us?" Sierra asked, her hand moving protectively to her stomach. "No. I'm just telling you the truth. What goes around comes around." Naomi picked up her purse from the chair. "I'll have my lawyer contact you tomorrow, Trevor. Don't come to the house. I'll have the locks changed tonight." She walked toward the door, her head high despite her heart breaking into pieces. Behind her, she heard Trevor's mother say something about how dramatic she was being. She heard Sierra laugh, a high, victorious sound. Naomi made it to her car before the first sob escaped. She sat in the driveway of the house where she had spent countless Sunday dinners, where she had celebrated holidays and birthdays, where she had believed she was part of a family. All lies. She pulled out her phone and called the only person she knew would answer. "Rochelle? I need somewhere to stay tonight." "I'm here," her best friend said immediately. "What happened?" "Everything just fell apart," Naomi whispered. "But I'm not going to fall apart with it. I'm going to make sure he regrets this for the rest of his life." As she drove away from that house for the last time, Naomi felt something shift inside her. The pain was still there, sharp and real, but underneath it was something stronger. Determination. Trevor thought he had won. Sierra thought she had taken everything. But they had no idea who they were dealing with. Naomi had built her career on being smart, strategic, and patient. She had closed million-dollar deals and outmaneuvered tough negotiators. This would be no different. Trevor wanted a war? He was about to get one. And Naomi always finished what she started. She just didn't know yet that the baby Sierra carried would be the key to everything unraveling in ways none of them could imagine. Naomi stood in Rochelle's guest bedroom, staring at her reflection in the mirror. Her eyes were swollen from crying all night. Her hair was a mess. She looked like a woman who had just lost everything. And maybe she had. But she refused to stay broken. "I made breakfast," Rochelle called from the kitchen. "Come eat something." Naomi splashed cold water on her face and walked out to find her best friend had made all her favorite foods. Pancakes, eggs, turkey bacon, fresh fruit. Rochelle stood there in her pajamas, concern written all over her face. "I don't know how to thank you for this," Naomi said, sitting down at the kitchen island. "You don't have to thank me. That's what family does." Rochelle poured her a cup of coffee. "Have you talked to him?" "No. I turned off my phone last night. I can't deal with his voice right now." Naomi pushed the food around on her plate. "I keep replaying it in my head. The way they sat there together. The way his whole family looked at me like I was the problem. How did I miss this, Rochelle? How did I not know for a whole year? Because you trusted him. That's not your fault. That's his betrayal, not your blindness." Rochelle sat down across from her. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to divorce him. And I'm going to make sure he doesn't get away with humiliating me like that." Naomi took a sip of her coffee. "I need to find a good lawyer. Someone ruthless. I know someone. Veronica Stone. She handled my cousin's divorce last year. The husband tried to hide assets and she found everything. He ended up having to sell his car to pay what he owed." Rochelle pulled out her phone. "Want me to call her?" "Yes. The sooner the better." While Rochelle made the call, Naomi finally turned on her phone. 53 missed calls from Trevor. 27 text messages. She scrolled through them, her anger building with each one. The first few were apologies. "I'm sorry it happened that way. We should talk." Then they turned angry. "You're being childish. Answer your phone." By the early morning hours they became threatening. "Don't try to take me for everything. You won't win. I have lawyers too." There were also messages from Trevor's mother, telling her she was being selfish and should think about what was best for the baby. Messages from his sister, saying she always knew Naomi wasn't right for Trevor. Nothing from his father or brother. But the worst messages were from Sierra. "Trevor is mine now. You need to accept that and move on. The baby needs his father and I'm going to make sure he gets everything he deserves. Maybe if you had been a better wife, this wouldn't have happened." Naomi's hands shook as she read those words. Better wife. She had put her career dreams on hold for Trevor. She had worked extra hours to help pay off his business loans. She had introduced him to every important contact she had in the real estate world. She had loved him with everything she had. "Veronica can see you at 2 o'clock today," Rochelle announced. "I'm coming with you." "You don't have to do that." "Yes, I do. You're not facing this alone." Rochelle squeezed her hand. "Now eat something. You're going to need your strength." At 2 o'clock, Naomi sat in Veronica Stone's office. The lawyer was a tall woman with sharp eyes and an even sharper suit. She listened carefully as Naomi explained everything that had happened. "So he announced this in front of his entire family? After moving out without telling you?" Veronica took notes. "That's actually good for us. It shows intent and premeditation. He wasn't caught in an affair. He planned this whole thing." "What does that mean for the divorce?" Naomi asked. "It means we have a strong case for emotional distress and potentially hiding assets. In my experience, when someone plans a betrayal this carefully, they're usually preparing financially too." Veronica leaned forward. "I need you to think carefully. Did Trevor make any unusual financial moves in the past year? Large purchases? New accounts? Money missing from joint accounts?" Naomi thought back. "He opened a separate business account about 8 months ago. Said it was for a new project he was working on. He also sold some stocks without telling me, but he said it was for a business investment. I need access to all your financial records. Bank statements, credit card bills, investment accounts, everything. I also need you to make a list of any assets you acquired during the marriage." Veronica handed her a folder. "This process isn't going to be easy, and it's not going to be fast. But if he's hiding money or trying to leave you with nothing, we'll find it. I want everything I'm entitled to," Naomi said firmly. "I'm not letting him walk away from this marriage like it meant nothing." "Good. That's the energy I need from you." Veronica smiled. One more thing. Don't communicate with him directly. Everything goes through me from now on. And stay off social media. Don't post anything about the divorce or your feelings. The last thing we need is him using your words against you in court. After the meeting, Naomi and Rochelle went back to the house Naomi had shared with Trevor. The locks had been changed by a locksmith Rochelle had called that morning. Inside, everything looked the same, but it all felt different now. This house that had been their home was now just a building filled with painful memories. Pack up his stuff, Rochelle suggested. Get it out of here so you can start fresh. They spent the next few hours boxing up Trevor's clothes, his books, his personal items. Naomi found photos from their wedding day tucked in his drawer. She looked so happy in those pictures. So in love. So naive. In the back of his closet she found a shoebox. Inside were receipts from expensive restaurants she had never been to. Hotel stays in cities she had never visited with him. Jewelry purchases she had never received. He had been spending their money on Sierra for months, maybe longer. Naomi photographed every receipt and put them back carefully. Evidence. Everything was evidence now. Her phone rang. It was her boss, Patricia. Naomi, I heard what happened. Are you okay? How did you find out? Trevor called the office looking for you. He seemed pretty upset that you weren't answering his calls. I told him you weren't here and hung up on him. Patricia paused. Take the week off. You don't need to be at work right now. Thank you, but I'd rather stay busy. Work is the only thing that feels normal right now. All right. But if you need anything, you let me know. And Naomi? I never liked him. You always seemed to be doing everything while he took the credit. After she hung up, Naomi thought about Patricia's words. It was true. In their marriage, she had been the one making sacrifices. She had been the one compromising. And where had that gotten her? That night, lying in the guest room at Rochelle's apartment, Naomi made herself a promise. She would never again make herself small for a man. She would never again put someone else's dreams before her own. And she would make Trevor regret the day he decided to betray her. The war was just beginning. Monday morning arrived cold and gray. Naomi got up early, put on her best navy suit, and walked into her office like nothing had happened. She refused to hide. She refused to be ashamed. Trevor was the one who should be hiding, not her. Her coworkers were kind. They didn't ask questions or stare. Someone had put a coffee and a muffin on her desk with a note that just said, "You've got this." It made her eyes water, but she blinked the tears away and got to work. By lunchtime, Veronica had already filed the divorce papers. By 3 o'clock, Trevor had been served at his office. By 4 o'clock, he was calling Naomi's phone non-stop. She didn't answer. Everything went through Veronica now. He's already called me twice, Veronica informed her during their evening phone call. He wants to settle quickly and quietly. He's offering you the house and half of the joint savings account. That's it? After 6 years of marriage? Naomi felt her anger rising again. That's his opening offer. It's insulting and he knows it. He's trying to lowball you, hoping you'll just want this over with. Veronica's voice was calm. Don't worry. We're going to request full financial disclosure. Every account, every asset, every business dealing. If he's hiding money, we'll find it. What about Sierra? Can we include her in this somehow? Unfortunately, no. She's not legally part of your marriage. But if we can prove that Trevor spent marital assets on her, that's another story. Those receipts you found are going to be very useful. Over the next 2 weeks, Naomi threw herself into work. She closed a major deal on a commercial property downtown. She networked with new clients. She rebuilt her professional reputation separate from Trevor's. Her boss, Patricia, gave her more responsibilities, trusting her with bigger projects. But at night, alone in Rochelle's guest room, the pain would hit her fresh. She would remember the happy moments. The way Trevor used to make her laugh. The dreams they had talked about. The future they had planned. All of it was a lie. One evening, she was going through financial documents for Veronica when something caught her eye. A property deed for a house she didn't recognize. It was in Trevor's name alone. Purchased 8 months ago. She had never seen this document before. She had never heard Trevor mention buying another property. She called Veronica immediately. I found something. Trevor bought a house last year and I never knew about it. What's the address? Naomi read it off. It was in an expensive neighborhood across town. Let me look into this, Veronica said. This could be very significant. If he purchased property during your marriage without your knowledge, especially using marital funds, that's a serious problem for him. The next day Veronica called back. That house. It's where Sierra has been living for the past 6 months. Trevor bought it for her. He used money from your joint investment account to make the down payment. Naomi felt sick. He bought her a house with our money? Yes. And he never disclosed this asset in his initial financial statement to my office. That's fraud, Naomi. He's trying to hide what he owns so he doesn't have to split it with you. What do? We go to court. We show the judge exactly what kind of person Trevor is. And we make sure he pays for every lie. The court date was set for 3 weeks later. In that time, Naomi did something she hadn't done in years. She focused on herself. She started going to the gym every morning. She got a new haircut. She bought new clothes that made her feel powerful. She spent time with Rochelle and other friends she had neglected during her marriage. She also started digging through Trevor's business connections. As a real estate developer, she had access to property records and business filings. She started noticing patterns. Trevor had been involved in several property deals over the past year, deals that she had helped set up through her industry contacts. But her name wasn't on any of the paperwork. He had used her relationships to make money, then cut her out completely. She made copies of everything. Every email where she had introduced Trevor to a client. Every meeting she had arranged. Every connection she had made that he had profited from. It was all evidence of how he had used her. She also noticed something else. Trevor's business partner, a man named Harrison, had been copied on several emails about the property deals. But Harrison's name didn't appear on any of the final contracts. It looked like Trevor had cut him out too. On a hunch, Naomi called Harrison's office. "Hi, this is Naomi Carter. I'm Trevor's wife. I was hoping to speak with Harrison about some business matters." "I'm sorry, but Harrison and Trevor are no longer business partners," the secretary said. "They dissolved their partnership 6 months ago. It wasn't amicable." "I see. Is there a number where I can reach Harrison directly? It's important." The secretary hesitated, then gave her a personal cell number. "He might not want to talk about Trevor, just warning you." Naomi called the number. Harrison answered on the third ring. "This is Naomi Carter," she said. "I know you and Trevor aren't partners anymore, but I'm going through a divorce with him, and I think we might have some common interests." There was a long pause. "He screwed you over too, didn't he?" "Completely. And I'm trying to build a case to make sure he doesn't get away with it." "Meet me for coffee tomorrow," Harrison said. "I have a lot to tell you." The next morning, Naomi sat across from Harrison in a quiet coffee shop. He was a middle-aged man with tired eyes and a bitter expression. "Trevor and I started our business together 5 years ago," Harrison explained. "Equal partners. But over the past 2 years he started making deals on the side. Using our company resources and connections but keeping the profits for himself. When I confronted him, he bought me out at way below what my share was worth. Threatened to tie me up in court for years if I didn't sign. Do you have proof of these side deals?" "I have everything. Emails, contracts, bank statements. I kept copies of it all because I knew one day it might matter." Harrison leaned forward. "Your lawyer contacted me last week as part of the discovery process. I'm required to provide documents about the business. But I'm telling you right now, what I have is going to destroy him." "Why are you helping me?" "Because Trevor ruined my reputation in this industry. He told people I was stealing from the company when it was him all along. I lost clients, I lost money, and I lost my good name." Harrison's jaw tightened. "If helping you means he finally faces consequences, then I'm all in." Naomi felt a surge of hope for the first time in weeks. She wasn't alone in this fight. Trevor had made enemies and now they were all closing in. "Send everything you have to my lawyer, Veronica Stone," Naomi said. "And thank you. You have no idea how much this means." As she left the coffee shop, Naomi called Veronica and told her everything. "This is exactly what we needed," Veronica said excitedly. "Harrison's testimony and documents prove a pattern of behavior. Trevor isn't just a cheating husband. He's a fraud. The judge is going to see that." That night, Naomi felt something she hadn't felt since the announcement dinner. She felt powerful. She felt like she was finally fighting back. Trevor thought he could discard her and move on with his perfect new life. But he had underestimated her. And he was about to find out just how big a mistake that was. The discovery phase of the divorce revealed things that made Naomi sick. Trevor had been planning his exit strategy for over a year, maybe longer. He had systematically moved money out of their joint accounts into hidden accounts under his business name. He had taken out loans using their home as collateral without her signature. He had charged tens of thousands of dollars on their joint credit cards for Sierra's apartment, clothes, and jewelry. Veronica laid it all out on her conference table. Bank statements. Credit card bills. property records, business documents from Harrison. It was overwhelming. "This is financial abuse," Veronica said. "He was setting you up to have nothing while he rode off into the sunset with his mistress and your money. But now we have proof of everything." Naomi studied the documents, her anger growing with each page. "He was planning this the whole time. When he told me he loved me when we were going to his family's house for dinner, when he was lying next to me at night. He was planning to destroy me. But he made mistakes. He got greedy and sloppy. And that's going to cost him everything." Veronica started organizing the documents into folders. "The house Sierra is living in? That alone is enough to shift the settlement heavily in your favor. But combined with everything else, we're looking at you getting at least 70% of the marital assets, possibly more. What about his business? That's where Harrison comes in. He has proof that Trevor used your professional connections and contacts to secure at least 5 major deals in the past 18 months. Deals worth millions. You're entitled to compensation for that." Naomi's phone buzzed. Another text from Trevor. "We need to talk. This is getting out of hand. I'm willing to be generous, but only if you stop being difficult." She showed it to Veronica, who laughed. "He thinks he's being generous. Oh, this is going to be fun." That evening, Naomi met Rochelle for dinner. Her friend had been her rock through all of this, giving her a place to stay and emotional support when she needed it most. "You look different," Rochelle observed. "Stronger. I feel different. Like I'm finally seeing clearly for the first time in years." Naomi sipped her wine. "I was so focused on being a good wife, on supporting Trevor, that I forgot to take care of myself. I made myself smaller so he could feel bigger. You're not small now." "No, I'm not. And I'm never going to be that person again." Naomi smiled. "I've been thinking about something. Once this divorce is final, I want to start my own company. Take all those contacts and relationships I built, and use them for myself instead of for someone else." "That's a great idea. You're one of the best real estate developers in this city. You don't need Trevor or anyone else." They talked about business plans and dreams late into the night. For the first time since the announcement dinner, Naomi felt excited about the future instead of devastated by the past. But the next morning brought new drama. Sierra had posted an ultrasound photo on social media with the caption, "Can't wait to meet our little prince. Trevor is going to be the best daddy. Some women just aren't meant to be mothers, and that's okay." The post was clearly directed at Naomi. It had over 200 likes and dozens of comments from people congratulating them. Trevor's family members had all commented with heart emojis and excitement. Rochelle called immediately. "Don't look at social media today. Trust me." "Too late. I already saw it." Naomi felt the familiar sting of humiliation. She's really trying to twist the knife. She's insecure. She has to keep proving that she won. That tells you everything you need to know about their relationship. Naomi knew Rochelle was right, but it still hurt. She blocked Sierra on all social media and silenced Trevor's number. She didn't need their toxicity in her life anymore. At work, Patricia called her into her office. "I have something to tell you. Trevor came by yesterday asking about a commercial property deal we're working on. He wanted to know if he could get in on it." "What did you tell him?" "I told him that he was no longer welcome in this office and that any future dealings would be through official channels only." Patricia smiled. "Then I had security escort him out." "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did. You're a valuable member of this team, Naomi. And we don't do business with people who treat our employees badly." Patricia handed her a folder. "I'm putting you in charge of the Riverside project. It's our biggest development this year. I trust you to handle it." Naomi felt tears of gratitude sting her eyes. "Thank you. This means everything. You've earned it. Now go show this city what you're capable of." The Riverside project was massive. An old warehouse district being converted into mixed-use space with retail, offices, and luxury apartments. It was exactly the kind of high-profile project that could make a career. Naomi dove into it with everything she had. She met with architects and contractors. She negotiated with city planners and zoning boards. She created presentations for investors. She worked 12-hour days and loved every minute of it. This was what she was meant to do. Not standing in Trevor's shadow, but building her own success. 3 weeks later, the preliminary divorce hearing arrived. Naomi wore a sharp gray suit and walked into the courthouse with Veronica by her side. Trevor was already there with his lawyer, an expensive-looking man in a designer suit. Sierra sat behind Trevor in the gallery, her pregnant belly visible under a tight dress. She was 7 months along now. The judge, a no-nonsense woman named Judge Patterson, reviewed the documents both lawyers had submitted. Her expression grew darker as she read through Trevor's financial disclosure. "Mr. Carter," she said, looking over her glasses at Trevor, "you purchased a property at 847 Oak Street 8 months ago using funds from a joint account. But you didn't list this property in your initial financial disclosure. Can you explain why?" Trevor's lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, that was an oversight. My client forgot about that property." "He forgot about a $300,000 house?" Judge Patterson did not look convinced. "And I see here that this property is currently occupied by a Miss Sierra Walsh, the same woman who is pregnant with Mr. Carter's child and sitting in my courtroom today." "Your Honor," Trevor started to speak, but the judge held up her hand. "I'm not finished. I also see evidence of numerous large purchases made on joint credit cards for items that Mrs. Carter never received. Hotel stays, jewelry, designer clothes. All charged to cards that Mrs. Carter is equally responsible for paying back." She looked at Trevor with clear disgust. "And according to testimony from your former business partner, you used your wife's professional connections to secure business deals, then excluded her from the profits." Trevor's face had gone pale. His lawyer was frantically whispering to him. "This is one of the most clear-cut cases of financial misconduct in a marriage that I've seen in my 20 years on the bench," Judge Patterson continued. "Mr. Carter, you systematically looted your marital assets while planning to leave your wife with nothing. That is not going to happen in my courtroom." She looked at both lawyers. "We'll reconvene in 6 weeks for the final hearing. In the meantime, Mr. Carter, you are ordered to pay temporary spousal support in the amount of $5,000 per month. You are also ordered to pay half of the mortgage on the marital home, which Mrs. Carter will continue to occupy. Any violations of these orders will result in contempt charges. Do you understand?" "Yes, Your Honor," Trevor said quietly. As they left the courthouse, Naomi felt like she could finally breathe. Trevor looked defeated. Sierra was crying. And Veronica was smiling. "That could not have gone better," Veronica said. "Did you see the judge's face? She was ready to hold him in contempt right there." Naomi looked back at the courthouse. She could see Trevor and Sierra arguing on the steps. His perfect new life was starting to crack. And this was just the beginning. Justice was finally within reach. Spring arrived with warm sunshine and new possibilities. Naomi had moved back into her house, which no longer felt like a haunted reminder of her marriage. Instead, it felt like a fresh start. She redecorated the bedroom, getting rid of everything that reminded her of Trevor. She turned his home office into a workout space. She planted flowers in the garden and invited Rochelle over for dinners. The temporary support payments were coming in regularly, and while they helped, Naomi was determined not to depend on them. She threw herself into the Riverside project with renewed energy. Her presentations to investors were so impressive that 3 additional companies signed on to fund the development. Patricia pulled her aside one afternoon. "You've done incredible work on this project. The investors are thrilled. I'm recommending you for a promotion to senior developer." "Really?" Naomi felt a surge of pride. "Really? You've proven yourself over and over. This company would be lucky to keep you, though honestly, I think you could run your own firm." Patricia smiled. "Just don't leave us yet. Finish this project first." Meanwhile, Veronica continued building the divorce case. Harrison had provided detailed testimony about Trevor's business practices. They had documented every fraudulent transaction. They had proof of every lie. But Naomi also spent time documenting her own contributions to Trevor's success. She made a list of every client she had introduced him to, every contact she had shared, every networking event she had brought him to, every time she had stayed late to help him with a proposal or presentation. She had emails going back years showing how much she had invested in his career. "This is good," Veronica said, reviewing the timeline. "It shows a pattern of you building him up while he tore you down. The judge will see that clearly." One Saturday morning, Naomi was getting coffee when she ran into Trevor's brother, Kevin. He had been at the announcement dinner but had stayed silent. Now he looked uncomfortable when he saw her. "Naomi," he said awkwardly. "How are you?" "I'm well, Kevin. How are you?" "Look, I need to say something. What Trevor did, what the whole family did, it wasn't right. I should have spoken up that night. I should have defended you." He looked genuinely sorry. "Trevor has always been my brother, but that doesn't mean I have to approve of what he did. It was cruel and wrong." "I appreciate you saying that," Naomi said sincerely. "It means a lot. My wife and I, we're not going to the baby shower Sierra is planning. We're not supporting this. What Trevor did to you, what he's doing now, it's not who our parents raised us to be. Kevin shifted his weight. I wanted you to know that not everyone in the family thinks this is okay. After he left, Naomi felt a small sense of vindication. The cracks in Trevor's perfect new life were spreading. His own brother was refusing to celebrate the baby. That had to sting. But Sierra seemed determined to prove everything was wonderful. Her social media was a constant stream of baby preparation photos. The nursery they were decorating. Baby clothes she had bought. Plans for the future. Every post felt like a dig at Naomi, a reminder of what she didn't have. Naomi blocked her completely. She didn't need that negativity in her life. She was building something better. One evening, Veronica called with interesting news. Sierra's lawyer contacted me today. Sierra has a lawyer? For what? She's trying to establish paternity and child support before the baby is even born. She wants to make sure Trevor is legally obligated to support the child. Veronica sounded amused. Apparently she's worried that once your divorce is final and Trevor sees how much money he's losing, he might try to back out. Smart of her, I guess. Or it shows that their relationship isn't as solid as she wants everyone to believe. She's already lawyering up to protect herself from him. Veronica paused. There's something else. The paternity test is scheduled for 2 weeks after the baby is born. It's standard procedure when establishing child support. Why would they need a paternity test if she's so sure it's his baby? It's required by law in these situations. But between you and me, if their relationship was rock solid, I don't think she'd be moving this fast to legally tie him down. After they hung up, Naomi thought about Sierra's situation. She was 7 months pregnant with a man who had proven he was capable of lying and cheating. A man who was about to lose a significant amount of money in a divorce. A man whose family was starting to turn against him. That couldn't be the fairy tale Sierra had imagined. The next few weeks flew by in a blur of work and preparation for the final divorce hearing. Naomi spent her evenings at home, enjoying the peace and quiet. She started taking online courses in business management, preparing for the day when she would start her own company. She reconnected with old friends she had lost touch with during her marriage. She went on a weekend trip with Rochelle to the mountains. Life was good. Life was peaceful. And for the first time in years, Naomi felt like herself again. Then one night her phone rang. It was Kevin again. Naomi, I thought you should know. Sierra had the baby tonight. A boy. They're at County General Hospital. Why are you telling me this? Because the baby doesn't look like Trevor. I was there when he was born. Trevor's mother insisted on being in the delivery room, and the moment that baby came out, her face changed. She pulled Trevor aside right there and demanded a paternity test immediately. Kevin's voice was tense. Sierra is furious. She's saying the baby looks exactly like Trevor and everyone is being ridiculous. But Naomi, I saw that baby. He has dark hair and different features. Nothing like Trevor at all. What is Trevor saying? He's in denial. He keeps saying babies change as they grow, that it's too early to tell. But he looked shaken. Really shaken. Kevin sighed. I don't know what's going to happen, but I thought you should know. Things are about to get very complicated for them. After Kevin hung up, Naomi sat in her quiet house and felt a strange mix of emotions. She didn't wish harm on the baby. An innocent child didn't deserve to be caught up in adult drama. But she couldn't help feeling like the universe was finally showing Trevor the consequences of his actions. She texted Veronica. The baby was born. And apparently there are questions about paternity. Veronica's response came quickly. This is going to change everything. Stay quiet and let this play out. Don't comment on it to anyone. We'll see what happens with the paternity test. Naomi went to bed that night with a sense of anticipation. The truth always came out eventually. And Trevor's truth was about to be exposed in the most humiliating way possible. She just had to wait and watch it unfold. The news about the baby spread quickly through their social circles. Naomi heard about it from multiple sources. Coworkers who knew the situation. Mutual friends who were no longer mutual. Even the barista at her favorite coffee shop, who had seen the social media posts. Sierra had posted a photo of the baby with the caption, "Welcome to the world, baby Cameron. Our little miracle." But the comments section was suspiciously turned off. No public celebration. No flood of congratulatory messages visible for everyone to see. Rochelle came over that evening with takeout and wine. Okay, so I did some digging through mutual friends. You want to hear the gossip? Tell me everything, Naomi said, settling onto her couch. So the baby was born Thursday night. Trevor's entire family was at the hospital, along with Sierra's mother. The moment the baby came out, Barbara apparently went white as a sheet. She immediately pulled Trevor into the hallway and told him the baby didn't look like anyone in their family. Kevin mentioned something like that. It gets better. Sierra had a complete meltdown. Started screaming at Barbara that she was a terrible person for questioning her grandson's paternity. Trevor tried to play peacemaker, but apparently he looked really uncomfortable. Then Sierra's mother got involved, defending her daughter and saying the whole family was being disrespectful. What a mess. Oh, it gets messier. Barbara demanded a paternity test right there in the hospital. Sierra refused. She said if they didn't trust her, then they didn't deserve to be in the baby's life. Trevor was stuck in the middle. Finally, he agreed to a paternity test but said they would do it after Sierra had time to recover. Rochelle took a sip of wine. But here's the thing. I saw a photo someone posted before Sierra made them take it down. Naomi, that baby does not look like Trevor at all. Could it just be that newborns look weird? Maybe. But this baby has dark hair and darker features. Trevor's family is all fair-skinned and light-haired. It's noticeable. Naomi felt a strange detachment from the whole situation. A few months ago this would have destroyed her. The image of Trevor with a baby starting a family with another woman would have broken her heart. But now she just felt like she was watching a train wreck from a safe distance. The paternity test is required by law for the child support case anyway, Naomi said. So they can't avoid it forever. Sierra is going to fight it. I heard she's already saying that genetic tests aren't always accurate and that she doesn't want her baby's DNA in some database. Rochelle shook her head. She knows something is wrong. She's scared. Over the next week, the drama continued to unfold. Trevor's mother refused to visit the hospital again until a paternity test was done. Trevor's sister posted a vague message on social media about truth always coming out. Sierra stopped posting altogether, which was unusual for her since she had been documenting every moment of her pregnancy. Naomi stayed focused on her work. The Riverside project was moving into the construction phase, and she was busier than ever. She had site meetings with contractors, budget reviews with investors, and presentations to city council members. Her promotion to senior developer was officially approved, with a significant raise that made her financially independent from Trevor's support payments. Patricia called her into her office one afternoon. I have a proposition for you. The company wants to open a satellite office focusing specifically on commercial redevelopment projects. We want you to head it up. You'd have your own team, your own projects, and significant autonomy. Are you serious? Naomi felt her heart race. Completely serious. You've proven yourself with Riverside. The investors love you. The contractors respect you. And frankly, you're one of the best developers we've got. Patricia smiled. What do you say? Yes. Absolutely yes. Good. We'll start putting together your team next month. In the meantime, keep doing what you're doing. Naomi left that meeting feeling like she was flying. This was everything she had worked for. Everything she had dreamed about. And she had done it on her own without Trevor's help or support. That evening, as she was celebrating with Rochelle, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Kevin. Paternity test is scheduled for next week. Trevor is a mess. Sierra is refusing to speak to him. The whole family is in chaos. Thought you should know. The test is happening, Naomi told Rochelle, showing her the message. How do you feel about it? Honestly, I feel sorry for that baby. No matter what the results are, that child is being born into a mess. Trevor and Sierra's relationship is falling apart before it even really started. Naomi sighed. But I also can't help feeling like this is karma. Trevor thought he could have his perfect new life, and now everything is blowing up in his face. You're allowed to feel that way. He destroyed your life without a second thought. He didn't destroy my life. He destroyed our marriage. But I built a new life, and it's better than anything I had with him. Naomi raised her wine glass. To new beginnings and old endings. They clinked glasses, but Naomi's mind was already moving forward. The final divorce hearing was in 2 weeks. Whatever happened with the paternity test would happen. But it didn't change her path. She was moving forward and nothing was going to stop her. The next week crawled by. Naomi heard through the grapevine that the paternity test had been done. Trevor and Sierra had taken the baby to a lab, along with their lawyers. Results would take a few days. Naomi tried not to think about it. She had a life to build. She had projects to manage. She had a future to plan. Trevor's drama was no longer her concern. But on Friday afternoon, Kevin called her directly. His voice was shaking. Naomi, I need to tell you something. The results came back. And? Trevor is not the father. The baby isn't his. Sierra broke down and admitted she was seeing someone else during the affair. Her ex-boyfriend. She doesn't know which man is the actual father, but the test proves it's not Trevor. Naomi sat down slowly, processing this information. How is Trevor handling it? He's devastated. He's been crying non-stop. He actually called our mother and apologized for everything. For humiliating you, for breaking up the family, for being a fool. Kevin's voice broke. He said he threw away his whole life for a lie. Sierra used him because he had money and seemed stable. She was playing both of them. What's going to happen now? Trevor's lawyer is already filing paperwork to remove him from the birth certificate. Sierra is trying to contact her ex-boyfriend, but apparently he wants nothing to do with her. She's alone with a newborn and no support system. Kevin paused. Trevor asked if there was any way you might consider talking to him. He wants to apologize. No, Naomi said firmly. I don't need his apology. I don't need anything from him. He made his choices and now he has to live with them. Just like I had to live with his betrayal. I understand. I told him you probably wouldn't want to talk to him, but he asked me to try. Kevin sighed. For what it's worth, he knows he destroyed the best thing that ever happened to him. He said that to our mother last night. That's something he should have thought about before he cheated and humiliated me in front of his entire family. After the call ended, Naomi sat in her office, staring out the window. She felt a mix of emotions. Relief that the truth had come out. Vindication that her instincts about Sierra had been right. But also a strange sadness for the man Trevor used to be, or the man she thought he was. She called Veronica and told her everything. This changes the divorce settlement significantly, Veronica said. Trevor has no baby on the way. No new family to support. No excuse for what he did. The judge is going to crucify him. I just want it over with, Naomi said. I want to close this chapter and move on. You will. In 2 weeks, this will all be finished and you'll be free. That night, Naomi allowed herself to feel everything. The pain of betrayal. The anger at being humiliated. The relief that it was almost over. And underneath it all, a growing sense of excitement about her future. Trevor had tried to destroy her. Instead, he had destroyed himself. And she was just getting started. The weekend after the paternity test results was chaos in Trevor's world, but calm in Naomi's. She spent Saturday morning at a yoga class she had recently joined. She spent the afternoon looking at commercial properties for potential future development projects. She had dinner with friends who reminded her what healthy relationships looked like. Meanwhile, her phone kept buzzing with updates from various sources. Trevor had moved out of Sierra's house and was staying at a cheap hotel. Sierra had posted and then quickly deleted a rant on social media about fake men and lying families. Barbara had called everyone she knew to tell them she had been right all along. The family group chat, which Naomi had been removed from months ago, was apparently exploding with drama. Rochelle forwarded her screenshots that someone had sent. This is pure chaos. Look at this. The screenshots showed text messages between Trevor and Sierra. She was begging him not to abandon her. He was saying he couldn't be with someone who had lied to him for months. She was claiming she really thought the baby was his. He was calling her a con artist. It was ugly and desperate. Part of me feels bad for her, Naomi said. She's alone with a newborn. Don't, Rochelle said firmly. She knowingly pursued a married man. She helped him hide money from you. She posted nasty things on social media about you. She made her choices and now she's facing the consequences. You're right. I just can't help thinking about that baby. He didn't ask for any of this. The baby will be fine. Sierra will figure it out. But that's not your problem or your responsibility. Monday morning brought more news. Trevor's lawyer had filed an emergency motion to remove him from the birth certificate and to dismiss any future paternity or child support claims. Sierra's lawyer had filed a counter-motion claiming that Trevor had acted as the father and should therefore be responsible for the child regardless of biology. Veronica called Naomi immediately. This is getting messy. Sierra is trying to argue that because Trevor was present during the pregnancy and planned to be the father, he has some legal obligation. It's a desperate move and it won't work, but it's going to draw this out. How does this affect our divorce? Actually, it helps us. It shows that Sierra was actively deceiving Trevor, which means all his claims about being in love and finding his soulmate are based on lies. The judge will see that he destroyed his marriage for a fantasy that wasn't even real. Veronica sounded pleased. Our final hearing is next week. This couldn't have come at a better time. That evening, Naomi was working late at the office when she got an unexpected visitor. Trevor's father, Richard, appeared in her doorway. She hadn't seen him since before the announcement dinner. "Richard," she said, surprised. "What are you doing here?" "I came to apologize," he said quietly. "Can I have a few minutes?" Naomi gestured to the chair across from her desk. Richard sat down, looking older and more tired than she remembered. "I should have said something that night at dinner," he began. "When Trevor made his announcement, I should have stopped him. I should have told him what he was doing was wrong. I should have defended you. But I stayed silent, and I've regretted it every day since." "Why didn't you say anything?" "Because I'm a coward. Because it was easier to let it happen than to stand up to my son and my wife." Richard looked at his hands. "But I want you to know that what Trevor did to you was inexcusable. You were a good wife to him. You supported him, you helped his career, you were kind to our family. And he threw that away for a woman who was using him. I appreciate you saying that. Barbara is eating crow right now, not that she'd ever admit it. She was so sure that Sierra was wonderful and that you were the problem. Now she's embarrassed and angry." Richard shook his head. "Trevor has called me every day crying, saying he made the biggest mistake of his life. He wants you back. That's never going to happen." "I know. And honestly, you deserve better than him. You always did." Richard stood up. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry. And I hope you find happiness, because you certainly didn't find it with my son." After he left, Naomi sat in her quiet office and felt a sense of closure. Even Trevor's father knew what a mistake his son had made. Even the people who had enabled the betrayal were acknowledging the truth. The next few days brought even more revelations. Sierra's ex-boyfriend had agreed to a paternity test, and the results confirmed he was the baby's father. But he wanted nothing to do with Sierra or the baby. He claimed she had cheated on him with Trevor, then come running back to him when things got complicated. He said she was manipulative and dishonest, and he wanted no legal relationship with the child. Sierra was now facing the reality of being a single mother with no support system. She had alienated Trevor's family. Her own mother was reportedly furious with her for lying. She had no job since she had quit to focus on being a stay-at-home mom with Trevor's money. And Trevor was refusing to give her any financial help since the baby wasn't his. Naomi heard through Kevin that Sierra had tried to move back into the house Trevor had bought for her, but Trevor's lawyers had already filed eviction papers. The house was technically marital property since it was purchased during his marriage to Naomi, and it would be part of the divorce settlement. Sierra had 30 days to vacate. "It's like watching a house of cards collapse," Kevin told Naomi during a phone call. "Everything Trevor and Sierra built was based on lies. Now that the truth is out, it's all falling apart." "How is Trevor doing?" "Honestly, he's a mess. He's lost weight. He's not sleeping. He keeps saying he destroyed his life for nothing. He threw away his marriage, his reputation, his money, all for a woman who was lying to him the whole time." Kevin sighed. "I almost feel sorry for him, but then I remember what he did to you, and I think he deserves everything he's getting." The final divorce hearing was scheduled for Thursday. Naomi spent the week preparing her testimony and reviewing all the evidence with Veronica. She felt calm and ready. She had been through the fire, and she had come out stronger on the other side. Wednesday night, she got a long email from Trevor. It was pages of apologies and explanations. He said he had been foolish and blind. He said Sierra had manipulated him and made him feel special when he was feeling insecure about getting older. He said he never stopped loving Naomi and he knew he had made the worst mistake of his life. He begged for another chance, saying he would do anything to make it right. Naomi read the email once, then deleted it. She didn't respond. There was nothing to say. Some bridges once burned can never be rebuilt. And she had no desire to go back to a man who had proven exactly who he was. Thursday morning she woke up early, went to the gym, and then dressed in her best suit. She looked at herself in the mirror and saw a woman who had survived betrayal and come out victorious. A woman who had rebuilt her life on her own terms. A woman who was about to get the justice she deserved. It was time to end this chapter once and for all. The courthouse was cold and formal, exactly as Naomi remembered from the preliminary hearing. But this time she walked in with her head held high, confidence radiating from every step. Veronica walked beside her, carrying folders of evidence that would seal Trevor's fate. Trevor was already there with his lawyer. He looked terrible. His suit was wrinkled, his face was pale, and he had dark circles under his eyes. When he saw Naomi, he tried to make eye contact, but she looked right through him. He was a stranger now. Less than a stranger. Judge Patterson called the court to order. "We're here for the final divorce hearing in the matter of Carter versus Carter. Let's begin." The next 3 hours were a systematic destruction of Trevor's case. Veronica presented evidence of every financial betrayal. The hidden house purchased for Sierra with marital funds. The credit cards maxed out on gifts for his mistress. The business deals secured through Naomi's connections that Trevor had kept her out of. The loans taken out using their home as collateral without her knowledge or consent. Harrison testified about Trevor's business practices, explaining how Trevor had used their partnership to make side deals and hide profits. He provided emails and contracts that proved Trevor had been systematically defrauding both his business partner and his wife. Then Veronica called Naomi to the stand. This was her moment to tell her truth. "Mrs. Carter, can you describe your contributions to your husband's business success?" Veronica asked. Naomi spoke clearly and calmly. "I introduced Trevor to every major client he had. I used my reputation in the real estate industry to open doors for him. When he was starting his business, I worked extra hours to help pay our bills. I proofread his proposals. I coached him for presentations. I gave him everything I had because I thought we were building a future together. And what did you receive in return? Nothing. He cut me out of deals that I had helped create. He took credit for relationships I had built. And when he decided he wanted a different life, he tried to leave me with nothing while keeping all the money I had helped him earn. How did you feel when you discovered the affair?" "Betrayed. Humiliated. Devastated." Naomi looked directly at Trevor. "But more than that, I felt foolish. I had trusted someone who was systematically planning to destroy me. I had made myself small to make him feel big, and it was never enough for him." Trevor's lawyer tried to cross-examine her, but there was nothing he could attack. Every statement Naomi made was backed up by evidence. Every claim was supported by documents or testimony. Then Veronica dropped the final bomb. "Your Honor, I'd like to submit evidence regarding the child that Mr. Carter claimed was the reason for ending his marriage." She presented the paternity test results, Sierra's confession about the affair with her ex-boyfriend, and the text messages between Trevor and Sierra where she admitted she had been hedging her bets between two men. "Mr. Carter destroyed his marriage for a child that wasn't even his," Veronica stated. "He humiliated his wife in front of his family for a relationship based entirely on lies. He depleted marital assets to support a woman who was using him. Every claim he made about finding true love and wanting to build a family was based on deception." Judge Patterson's expression was ice cold as she looked at Trevor. "Mr. Carter, do you have anything to say for yourself?" Trevor stood up slowly. His voice cracked when he spoke. "Your Honor, I made a terrible mistake. I threw away my marriage for something that wasn't real. I hurt someone who never deserved to be hurt. I was stupid and selfish and blind. I know I can't fix what I broke, but I want to try to make things right financially at least." "That's very noble of you, Mr. Carter, but it's a bit late for nobility," Judge Patterson said icily. "You systematically looted your marital assets while planning to abandon your wife. You committed financial fraud. You used your wife's professional reputation for personal gain. And you did all of this while claiming to be building a new life based on love and family. The reality is you destroyed your marriage for a fantasy." She shuffled through the papers in front of her. "Here's what's going to happen. Mrs. Carter will receive the marital home free and clear. Mr. Carter will refinance to remove her from the mortgage within 60 days. The property at 847 Oak Street, currently occupied by Miss Walsh, will be sold and all proceeds will go to Mrs. Carter as compensation for the marital funds used to purchase it." Trevor's face went even paler. Judge Patterson continued. "Mr. Carter will pay spousal support of $7,000 per month for 5 years. He will be responsible for paying off all joint credit card debt, which currently stands at approximately $90,000. Mrs. Carter is entitled to 40% of Mr. Carter's business assets and future earnings from any deals that were secured through her professional contacts, as detailed in the testimony from Harrison Mitchell." "Your Honor," Trevor's lawyer started to protest, but the judge held up her hand. "I'm not finished. Mr. Carter will also pay Mrs. Carter's legal fees in full, and he will be responsible for any tax implications from the asset transfers. Furthermore, I'm ordering him to pay a lump sum of $50,000 within 30 days as compensation for emotional distress." Judge Patterson looked at Trevor over her glasses. "Do you understand these terms?" "Yes, Your Honor," Trevor said quietly. "Good. Because if you fail to comply with any part of this order, I will hold you in contempt and you will face jail time. This marriage is dissolved. We're adjourned." The gavel came down with a decisive crack. Naomi stood up, feeling lighter than she had in months. It was over. She was finally free. Outside the courtroom, Veronica was grinning. That was one of the most satisfying cases I've ever argued. Did you see his face when the judge ordered him to sell Sierra's house? I saw it. I don't think he expected to lose so badly. He didn't expect to lose at all. Men like Trevor think they can do whatever they want without consequences. Today he learned differently. Veronica shook her hand. Congratulations, Naomi. You're officially divorced and officially much wealthier than you were this morning. As they walked down the courthouse steps, Naomi saw Trevor standing by his car. He was crying, his lawyer trying to comfort him. For a brief moment she felt a flicker of pity. Then she remembered the announcement dinner. The way Sierra had sat there smugly, hand on her belly. The way Trevor had humiliated her in front of his entire family. The way he had systematically tried to steal her future. Her pity evaporated. She got in her car and drove away without looking back. Trevor's tears were his own problem now. She had her own life to build. That evening, Rochelle threw a divorce party at her apartment. It was just the two of them with champagne and takeout and chocolate cake. To freedom, Rochelle toasted. And to karma finally catching up with people who deserve it. To new beginnings, Naomi added. And to never settling for less than I deserve again. They drank and laughed and celebrated late into the night. When Naomi finally went home to her house that was fully hers now, she stood in the living room and felt at peace. The nightmare was over. The divorce was final. Trevor was out of her life forever. And she was ready to step into the future she deserved. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, Naomi's life had transformed completely. The house that had once been a prison of bad memories was now her sanctuary. She had renovated the kitchen, painted every room, and filled the space with art and furniture that reflected her taste, not Trevor's. It was bright and warm and completely hers. The spousal support payments came in regularly. Trevor had been forced to sell his luxury car to pay off some of the credit card debt. He had lost several clients after word spread about his business practices. He had moved into a modest apartment and was working longer hours just to keep his struggling business afloat. Meanwhile, Naomi was thriving. The Riverside project had been completed ahead of schedule and under budget. The mixed-use development was featured in the local business journal, with Naomi photographed in front of the building. Her phone was ringing constantly with new opportunities. Patricia had officially offered her the position heading the new satellite office, and Naomi had accepted. But she had also started laying the groundwork for her own company. She was meeting with investors, building a business plan, and networking with industry leaders who were eager to work with her. You're going to be a powerhouse in this industry, Patricia told her over lunch one afternoon. Honestly, I'm trying to keep you as long as I can, but I know eventually you're going to spread your wings and fly. This company gave me a chance when I needed it most, Naomi said. I won't forget that. But yes, eventually I want to build something of my own. She had also started dating again. Nothing serious yet, just casual dinners and coffee dates with men who treated her with respect. It felt good to be pursued, to be valued, to have conversations with men who were interested in her thoughts and opinions. One evening, she was having dinner with a colleague named Jonathan who worked for a competing real estate firm. He was intelligent, funny, and kind. They had been working together on a joint development project, and their professional relationship had slowly become personal. I have to admit something, Jonathan said over dessert. I've been wanting to ask you out for months, but I heard you were going through a divorce and I didn't want to intrude. I appreciate that, Naomi said. The divorce was ugly, but it's over now. I heard some stories. Your ex-husband apparently tried to poach one of my clients last month. When I called him out on it, he got really defensive and said he was just trying to rebuild his business. Jonathan shook his head. He didn't succeed, by the way. The client told me they'd rather work with professionals who have integrity. Sounds like Trevor, Naomi said. He still thinks he can charm his way through life without facing consequences. His loss, Jonathan said, looking at her warmly. I mean that sincerely. Anyone who would betray someone like you is an idiot. They talked late into the evening, and Naomi felt a connection forming. She wasn't ready for anything serious yet, but it felt good to be treated well. It felt good to be with someone who saw her value. Meanwhile, the fallout from Trevor and Sierra's implosion continued to ripple through their lives. Sierra had moved back in with her mother after being evicted from the house. She had posted a few bitter messages on social media about fake people and learning who your real friends are before disappearing from the internet entirely. Kevin told Naomi that Sierra was struggling financially. The baby's actual father was paying minimal child support, and she was working a retail job while her mother watched the baby. The glamorous life she had thought she was getting had evaporated completely. "Do you feel sorry for her?" Rochelle asked during one of their regular dinners. "I feel sorry for the baby," Naomi said honestly. "That child is innocent in all of this. But Sierra? She made her choices. She pursued a married man. She helped him hide money. She posted nasty things about me online. She thought she was going to have this perfect life at my expense. Now she's facing reality. That's fair. You're allowed to have boundaries and not feel obligated to care about people who tried to hurt you." "Exactly. My energy is better spent on building my future than worrying about their present." That future was looking brighter every day. Naomi had secured 3 new major clients for her satellite office. She had hired a talented team of designers and project managers. She had been invited to speak on a panel at a national real estate conference. Her reputation in the industry was growing stronger, no longer tied to Trevor but standing independently on her own merits. One Saturday afternoon she ran into Barbara, Trevor's mother, at the grocery store. Barbara looked uncomfortable when she saw Naomi, but instead of avoiding her, she approached. "Naomi, could I speak with you for a moment?" Barbara asked. They stepped to the side of the aisle. Barbara looked older, more tired than Naomi remembered. "I owe you an apology," Barbara said quietly. "I was wrong about everything. Wrong about Sierra, wrong about the baby, wrong about how we treated you. You were a good wife to my son, and we treated you terribly." "Yes, you did," Naomi said simply. She wasn't going to make this easier for Barbara. "Trevor has been absolutely miserable. He calls me every week crying about how he destroyed his life. He lost his business. He lost his money. He lost you. He lost his dignity." Barbara's eyes were wet. "I'm not asking you to forgive him. I'm just asking you to know that he's paying for what he did." "I'm aware of his situation," Naomi said. "And while I don't wish him harm, I also don't feel responsible for fixing his pain. He made his choices. He has to live with them. I understand. I just wanted you to know that I was wrong about you. You were always the right woman for him. He just couldn't see it until it was too late." Barbara wiped her eyes. "I hope you're doing well. You deserve happiness." "I'm doing well. Better than I ever was with Trevor, actually." After Barbara left, Naomi finished her shopping with a sense of satisfaction. Even Trevor's mother, who had been so cold to her at the announcement dinner, now understood the truth. Everyone who had enabled and supported Trevor's betrayal was now seeing who he really was. That night, Naomi sat on her back porch with a glass of wine, looking at the stars. She thought about the woman she had been a year ago. Broken and devastated. Betrayed and humiliated. Wondering if she would ever feel whole again. Now she was stronger than she had ever been. She had a thriving career. She had real friends. She had financial security. She had peace. And she had hope for the future. Trevor had tried to destroy her, but instead, he had destroyed himself. Sierra had thought she was winning, but she had lost everything. And Naomi had risen from the ashes of her broken marriage more powerful than before. This was what victory looked like. Not revenge in the traditional sense, but success. Not bitterness, but peace. Not dwelling on the past, but building an incredible future. She raised her glass to the stars and smiled. The best revenge was living well, and she was living better than ever. 6 months after the divorce, Naomi stood in front of a floor-to-ceiling window in her new office. The sign outside read Carter Development Group, her company, built from the ground up with her own vision and hard work. The office was in a newly renovated building downtown with exposed brick walls, modern furniture, and a team of 6 talented employees she had personally recruited. The first project under her company's name was about to break ground. A historic warehouse district transformation that would bring affordable housing and small business space to a neighborhood that desperately needed it. It was the kind of project that made a difference, not just profit. That's what Naomi wanted her legacy to be. "The investors are here," her assistant announced from the doorway. Naomi grabbed her presentation folder and walked into the conference room with confidence. She pitched her vision, answered questions with expertise, and closed the meeting with 3 additional investors committing funds. As they shook hands and filed out, one of them, an older woman named Catherine, lingered behind. "My daughter went through a difficult divorce a few years ago," Catherine said. "I watched her rebuild her life from nothing. When I see you, I see that same strength. That's why I'm investing in your company. Not just because you're talented, but because you're resilient." "Thank you," Naomi said, genuinely touched. "That means more than you know." After Catherine left, Naomi returned to her office and allowed herself a moment of pure satisfaction. She had done it. She had built something entirely her own. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from Jonathan. Dinner tonight to celebrate your first big investor meeting? I'm buying. Naomi smiled. Her relationship with Jonathan had grown steadily over the past few months. He was patient, kind, and genuinely interested in her success. They took things slow, both of them cautious after past hurts. But there was something real building between them. Something based on respect and equality, not the one-sided dynamic she had with Trevor. 7 o'clock, she texted back. Perfect. I'll pick you up. As she worked through the afternoon, responding to emails and reviewing architectural plans, Naomi felt contentment wash over her. This was the life she had always wanted. Meaningful work, financial independence, authentic relationships. Her phone rang. It was Kevin. Hey Naomi. I wanted to give you a heads up. Trevor called me this morning. He's thinking about leaving town. Starting over somewhere else where people don't know about everything that happened. How is he doing? Naomi asked, not because she wanted Trevor back in any capacity, but because she was genuinely curious. Not great. His business is basically dead. He's working as a project manager for someone else's company now, making a fraction of what he used to make. He's still paying you spousal support, which is most of his income. He's living in a studio apartment. He's alone. Kevin paused. He asked about you. Asked if you were happy. What did you tell him? I told him you're thriving. That you started your own company. That you're dating someone who treats you right. That you're happier than I ever saw you with him. Kevin's voice was warm. He started crying. Said he destroyed the best thing in his life for nothing. That's the truth, Naomi said. But it's not my problem anymore. I hope he finds some peace eventually, but I'm not responsible for his healing. That's healthy. I'm proud of you, Naomi. You turned a nightmare into a success story. After they hung up, Naomi thought about Trevor for a moment. She tried to remember the man she had married, but the memories felt distant, like they belonged to someone else's life. She felt no anger anymore. No hurt. Just a quiet understanding that sometimes people show you who they really are, and you have to believe them. That evening, Jonathan picked her up for dinner. He took her to a rooftop restaurant with a beautiful view of the city skyline. As they ate and talked about their projects, their dreams, their lives, Naomi felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope for a real partnership. Not someone who would use her to build themselves up, but someone who celebrated her success and shared his own. I got offered a position on a development project in Seattle, Jonathan mentioned over dessert. It's a great opportunity, but it would mean relocating for at least a year. Naomi's heart sank a little, but she kept her expression neutral. That sounds like an amazing opportunity. When would you leave? I haven't decided if I'm going to take it yet. Jonathan reached across the table and took her hand. I'm not making any major life decisions without considering what I'd be leaving behind here. Including you. We've only been dating a few months. I wouldn't want to hold you back from a career opportunity. You're not holding me back. You're making me think about what I really want. And what I want is to be where you are, building something together, even if that something is just this relationship right now. He squeezed her hand. I'm not in a rush. I'm not going anywhere unless we both decide it makes sense. Naomi felt tears prick her eyes. This was what a healthy relationship looked like. Two people considering each other, communicating openly, making decisions together instead of one person sacrificing everything for the other. Thank you for saying that, she said. Let's figure it out together. A few weeks later, Naomi was at a real estate industry event when she saw Trevor across the room. He was there with his boss, clearly attending as part of his job rather than as a major player. He looked smaller somehow, less confident. When he saw her, he froze. Naomi walked over to him calmly. She wasn't avoiding him. She wasn't afraid of him. She had nothing to hide or feel ashamed about. Trevor, she said neutrally. Naomi, you look amazing. He seemed nervous. I heard about your new company. Congratulations. Thank you. I also heard you're dating Jonathan Pierce. He's a good guy. You deserve someone good. Trevor's voice cracked slightly. I wanted to say again how sorry I am. For everything. You were right that night at my parents' house. I should have remembered how proud and happy I looked, because now all I feel is regret. I appreciate the apology, Naomi said. But Trevor, I need you to understand something. I've forgiven you not because you deserve it, but because holding on to anger was hurting me more than it was hurting you. I've let go of the pain. But that doesn't mean I want you back in my life in any capacity. We're done. Permanently. I know. I just needed you to hear that I know what I threw away. I destroyed something real for something fake, and I'll live with that for the rest of my life. Then I hope you learn from it. I hope you become a better person. But you need to do that for yourself, not for me. Naomi looked him in the eye. I've moved on, Trevor. And I need you to move on too. She walked away before he could respond. As she rejoined a group of colleagues who were discussing a new development project, she felt the final weight lift from her shoulders. That conversation had been her closure. The last time she would ever need to address the man who had betrayed her. 3 months later, Carter Development Group broke ground on its first project. Naomi stood at the construction site with her team, Jonathan by her side, and felt overwhelming joy. The community had come out to celebrate. Local business owners thanked her for believing in the neighborhood. Families who would soon have affordable housing hugged her. This was what mattered. Making a difference. Building something meaningful. Using her success to lift others up, not tear them down. That evening at the celebration party, Jonathan pulled her aside. I have something to tell you. I turned down the Seattle position. Jonathan, you didn't have to do that for me. I didn't do it just for you. I did it for us. I did it because I realized that some opportunities are about more than just career advancement. Some opportunities are about building a life with someone who makes you better. He smiled. You make me better, Naomi. And I'm not walking away from that. Naomi kissed him, feeling a happiness she had never experienced before. This was what real love looked like. Partnership. Support. Mutual respect. Two people choosing each other every day, not out of obligation but out of genuine care. As the party continued around them, Naomi looked at the life she had built. A successful business. Authentic relationships. Financial security. Peace of mind. And the beginning of something beautiful with someone who valued her. Trevor and Sierra had thought they were winning when they destroyed her marriage. They had thought they were getting everything while leaving her with nothing. But they had been wrong. Naomi had lost a cheating husband and gained herself. She had lost a toxic family and gained real friends. She had lost a one-sided marriage and was building an equal partnership. This wasn't just a happy ending. This was a powerful beginning. And the best part was she had done it all herself. She had picked herself up from the lowest point of her life and climbed higher than she ever imagined possible. The baby Sierra had carried hadn't been Trevor's. But in a strange way, that baby had changed everything. It had exposed the truth. It had revealed who people really were. It had given Naomi the final piece of evidence she needed to win her freedom completely. Sierra had thought she had won. But in the end, Naomi had won everything that actually mattered. And she was just getting started.